So guess what? Being fully dressed in red, we're going to speak about rubies and everything you should know about this stone. So what is a ruby? It happens to be one of the most coveted and vibrant gemstones in the world. From their rich history to their mesmerizing beauty, rubies have fascinated humans for centuries. It is a variety of the mineral corundum, which is composed of aluminum oxide. What distinguishes a ruby from any other corundum gemstones, such as sapphires, for example, it's because of this red, rich, and vibrant color. Do you know where the name ruby comes from? It is actually derived from the Latin word rubber, which means red. When determining the quality of a ruby, it's based on its color, the hue and the saturation, and the tone must always be taken into account. The hue is very important because it refers to the basic color of rubies. And unfortunately, nowadays, only 5% of the rubies that you have on the market are natural rubies with no treatment, no enhanced coloring, but we'll get into this later. If we go back to the history of rubies, they have a storied past dating back to thousands of years. In ancient cultures, rubies were considered to be the king of gemstones because it was symbolizing power, passion, and protection. The early discoveries have brought anthropologists to assess that the first rubies have been known and treasured since ancient times. Some of the earliest records of ruby mining come from India, particularly in the region of Mogok, which is now part of the Myanmar of Burma. In some ancient Sanskrit texts refer to rubies as Rajanaj, meaning the king of precious stones. Myanmar has long been a significant source of very high-quality rubies, with mining dating back over 1,000 years ago. And the region of Mogok, known as the Valley of Rubies, which, by the way, there's a fantastic French journalist and investigator called The Valley of Rubies by Joseph Kessel, and you'll learn a lot about how ruby mining was happening back in the days. Back to the Valley of Rubies in the region of Mogok, that region has produced some of the finest rubies ever discovered to this day. And in ancient cultures, rubies were highly valued by the Romans and the Greeks as they believed it could protect their owners from harm and bring them peace and prosperity. Around the same period, some ancient Chinese noblemen adorned their armor with rubies, believing that those stones would grant them protection in battle. Rubies were also buried under buildings to secure good fortune. But shortly after that, during the medieval period, rubies were traded along the Silk Road, reaching Europe, where they were highly prized by royalty, but also the wealthy. They were very often set in crowns and scepters and other regal ornaments, and were believed to have protective powers, warding off plague and evil spirits. Later on, the discovery of rubies deposited in East Africa, particularly in Tanzania and Mozambique, in the later half of the 20th century, significantly increased the global supplies of rubies. This precious stone have a rich and storied history that spans thousands of years, from their early discovery in ancient India and Myanmar to their esteemed status in modern jewelry. But throughout history, you have to bear in mind that rubies have been treasured for their beauty, rarity, and symbolic meanings, making them one of the most iconic cherished gemstones in the world. Just like diamonds, some rubies have a very historical and famous legend. Some of those have become legendary due to their size and historical significance, such as the Sunrise Ruby, weighing 25.59 carats as one of the most valuable rubies ever sold. The DeLong Star Ruby and the Rasa Reeves Star Ruby are renowned for their asterism, displaying of a star-like pattern when viewed under a light source. Again, The Valley of Rubies by Joseph Kessel, you'll learn everything about star rubies and star sapphires, which back in the days had no value at all. The Sunrise Ruby, weighing 25.59 carats for Myanmar, was known for its exceptional color and clarity and happens to be one of the most valuable rubies in the world, as it has set a world record price for any ruby sold at auction when it was hammered $30.3 million at Sotheby's in 2015. It was named after a poem by the 13th century Persian poet Rumi. Now think about the Liberty Bell ruby. This rough, uncut, 8,500 carat worth of gems, and was the largest mined ruby in the world. It was later sculpted into the shape of the Liberty Bell with 50 diamonds encrusted, symbolizes the 50 United States. Unfortunately, it was stolen in the heist in 2011 and to this day has not been recovered. The DeLong Star ruby, the 100.32 carats, is a famous ruby for its deep red color and distinct star pattern. It was stolen in 1964 in the famous heist from the American Museum of Natural History, but was later recovered and returned to the museum. The Prince of Burma ruby, 190 carats of rough from Myanmar, is notable for its large size and exceptional color. While the rough stone weighs 190 carats, its final polish size may vary based on the cutting process. When you think about a Mogok ruby and when you see one in real, that region in Burma is renowned for producing one of the finest rubies in the world, often referred as the pigeon blood rubies due to their vivid red color. Those gemstones with the pigeon blood certification or a color grading is the most sought after and probably the rarest you can ever find when it comes to ruby classification. And those individual stones from this region are very highly priced and often command at top prices at auction. The Graf ruby, which was an 8.62 carat, was sold by Sotheby's in 2014 for $8 million, setting a record price per carat for a ruby at that time. And it was purchased by Lawrence Graf himself, who named it after his very own name.